Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Elijah Dominguez. I'm your host. I'm going to be teaching you today about taxes and tax levies and how they are unconstitutional and in violation of the Constitution, both state and federal, as well as the laws in which they have been provided for us, as well as corporation entities. Let's get started. I have done research. I've talked with the Franchise Tax Board in the state of California in Oakland, and under 26 USC 6331 levy and restraint, which they do follow, it states that if any person is liable to pay taxes or negligence, refusing to pay taxes within the same day after notice of demand, it shall be lawful for the Secretary of State to collect, and the further sum shall be sufficient to cover the expense of levy by the levy of all property and rights. Now, to property, except for property exempt under Section 6334 belonging to such person or on the lien provided in this chapter for payment of such tax. Now, this is where it gets interesting because this is where a levy can be made. Levy can be made upon the accrued salary of or wages of any officer. Doesn't apply to me. Employee. I'm not an employee of the United States or an elected official of the United States, the District of Columbia, or any agency or instrumentality of the United States or District of Columbia. A notice of levy on the levy employed as defined by Section 3401D. Sections 3401D. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds kind of fishy, right? So I started doing more research, and I came across the Senate document. And this is Senate document 43 of the 73rd Congress from 1933, declaring that ownership of all property and individual of so-called ownership is property in virtue of the law of the government, i.e. law, amounting to a mere user. The individual uses all the property is subordinate to the necessities of the United States government. Under House Joint Resolution 192, June 5th, Senate Report number 93549, and Executive Order 6072, 6012, and 6246, the Congress and President Roosevelt had officially declared bankruptcy. And it also had been reviewed in countless cases, landmark cases like Erie Railroad versus Thompson, 34 USC 64-92, clearly establishing that the state has constitutional rights, not the people. The people have been pledged to bankruptcy as of the law of 1933, and the federal administration in the United States is a private commercial law of creditors. So, I continue to do my research and continue to look into this. I came across that. And I continued to search, and it took some time, and I found out that the United States obviously is in violation of the law, but it's a corporation, and the corporation, an entity, is actually registered, and it's registered as a business in the state of Delaware. Now, this is where it gets really interesting and kind of weird. This is where the video is going to get kind of weird. First off, let's do this. Give me a second here. United States. This is a document from the Secretary of State for the state of District of Columbia, obviously, United States of America Incorporated. It's a business. Now, I started to do more research, and I came across H.R. 51, Washington, D.C.'s Administrative Act. Now, everybody knows under 1871, obviously, they're a corporation, but now that continues to show and prove under 283002, subsection 15, 176 chapter, that, yeah, it is considered a corporation. And I started to, again, continue the research, and I came across, pages are stuck together here. I came across the United States and Mexico Corporation. And Mexico, obviously, is a corporation, and so is the United States. It's a collaborative business. And I started doing more. Now, I started, again, continuing the research. I found another United States of America Incorporated. So when you pay your taxes, you are paying your taxes to a private municipal corporation. I've already shown you the IRS. And I wanted to, again, show you another one. Here was another entity in which the United States. So this continues to show that the United States is a corporation and private power in which we're not subject to. Obviously, if you're a United States citizen, you consider yourself a foreign agent. Now, I started doing research, and I continued to look. I got even more curious, right? And I came across this filing number by a Nancy D. Pelosi, and she's actually doing business as the Senate. And she has a charitable trust in which she obviously is funneling money through. This is the company she's using for the Senate. Now, I have found even more. Here's all the images for her page. I continued to search, and I came across a United States Citizen Schooling and Incorporated course. So anybody who goes, like, let's say you come from, like, Colombia, right? Or you come from Cuba, right? And you're transferring over from schools. Well, you are transferring and using a corporation to transfer. And you are claiming citizenship under that corporation. And, people like to talk a lot about martial law and military law, but many of them have missed the mark, because here's the document that shows a military United States from the state of Delaware. And these people don't realize that these corporations are stealing money from us, because in the state of California, from the Secretary of State, here's another State of California LLC. These individuals have been fraudulently defrauding individuals. And I started to go, then I went to the District of Columbia, and I found out, well, the Supreme Court, I'm not going to get any justice there. It's a private business. Even the clerks have a private, trust. And I copied a list. I copied a list of all the names here. That's all the United States of America. And I came across, after doing research about that, right, and coming across all these different types of entities that are claiming to be government constitutional, which obviously under the 1871 Organic Act, and obviously the H.R. 51, it is clearly a foreign corporation. Now, I have underlined here in this. Whoops, I think I'm holding it upside down. No, I'm not. I've underlined there, right there, that this is a foreign corporation. This is a foreign business. And it has been clearly stated. State of California, registered business. These people are only seeking profit. So when they say, well, it's the people of the state of California, the people of the state of California does not mean and includes you and I. Here's the actual registry and document, State of California Secretary LLC. Like, why are, they are fraudulently incarcerating people to private businesses for their own personal needs and gain and benefits. The simple words such as in-law or at-law can be, commonly misphrased or misused. And there will never be any justice for anybody. Why? Because under the Senate Bill 94-201 and 94-381 from page 25, officers of the courts were able to do whatever they wanted to do. And they could construct the law to mean whatever they wanted it to mean. Now, there was a guy named David Dodge who discovered a book called The 2 VA Law in the Law of Congress. According to Dodge, this is an uncatalogued book, and it reveals a plan to overthrow a government by secretly engineering a lawyer of time. By the engineering by the lawyers of time, obviously these lawyers, doctors run a country. There was this is why TONA was ratified to the state of Virginia. This is why TONA, TONA, was ratified to the state of Virginia. And there's a lot more stuff just like that. There has been 349,402 uncatalogued rare books and 13.9 million uncatalogued rare manuscripts. Like, that's incredible. The Senate actually created this shadow government in 1973, under the Senate Report 93-549, it says, a majority of the people in the United States have lived all of their lives under emergency rule, and the United States action by the government in great times of crisis have from at least a civil war or important ways shaped the present phenomenon of the permanent state of national emergency. Now that's how to tell you something. This is where later came H.R. 93, H.R. 93, which was strangely quietly repealed under Public Law 95-147, 91 Stat 122, a joint resolution entitled Joint Resolution to Assure the Uniform Value of Coins and Currencies to the United States, approved on June 1933, 31 U.S.C. 463, and shall not apply to the obligations issued on or after the dates of this enactment. The Federal Reserve placed an insufficient amount of money in the general circulation of gold and silver to force us to discharge our debts to commercial papers, putting them off to the future point and restricting our obligations to pay. Obviously, with that, and in 1980, and 1988 was, again, Reagan took us off the gold standard. Now, remember that all criminal actions, whether by the state or any individual, under the FRCPA, that's the Federal Rules of Court Procedure, Rules 1 and 2, rule that all actions are civil, period. Now, if we dig deeper, the public law is a little different. The law is in the instant per the actual state laws book is identified as a Chapter 4848 Stat 112. You can find that. It contains a law or the words of HJ 192, although it's one of the resolutions and the one is public law. Now, we should not refer to HJR 192 and the ability to play with lawful constitutional money because it doesn't make the subject or Congress or federal government very happy. They don't like that. The obligations under the public law still apply, and they still have to do this. Now, the fact that the Treasury doesn't exist, and obviously we can't pay anything back, and no money's in existence, I want to show you this document that I acquired from the Secretary of State's office, confirming what I have said, and give me here a second. Oh, here it is. This is from the Treasury Department here. Try to get it as closely as possible. And if you read or type in legal tender of the United States and you type in U.S. Treasury, that will come up, that document. This says, again, it states that there's no money. So now we have established under Erie versus Railroad and the Thompson case of Erie Railroad versus Thompson, 1938, the banker's notes, and the fact that they can construe and construct the law any way they want through Senate Bills 94-201 and 94-388. We have now clearly established that there's no way to pay. There's only a way to discharge the debts. So when you go into court, you are discharging the validity of the debt. Now, I started to do even further research, and I came upon some very shocking information to me. People like to say that the straw man does not exist. I beg to differ. There was a report done in 1999 by the acting Inspector General Keith A. Apifel here, and you can see the Office of the General Manager's report, number A-08-99-42002. And this is an advisory report created. Now, after they reviewed this report, there's one in 99 and one in 88. And after they reviewed it, they actually had found that they have committed fraud in order to create birth certificates for aliens and even citizens. And this was again attempted in 99. Now, I have very big suspicions of taxes now. Why are we being taxed unlawfully without any lawful authority or ability to do so? Because the state of D.C. has given themselves power. This is the this is the 1871 Organic Act. This is 10 pages here, and these individuals are defrauding people, and they are creating financial debt and liability while working for a foreign company. And I just wanted to reiterate the admission to the union, because when they did that, when they applied for that, and they said, well, we're not part of the union, but we'd like to be, well, then they had just stated, well, they have just committed mass corruption and fraud by taxing people, saying they have to pay taxes to the U.S. Treasury when they weren't even part. They were simply a territory, not any even part of the union or any. They have been a landmass since the early 17th century, and so this is why people should not pay taxes. Also, there has been Supreme Court rulings in which has stated that income tax is illegal, that facing income tax is illegal, and that it shouldn't, that it basically it's unconstitutional, it's void. Basically, that making it null and void. There was also another case in which I found very interesting, in which they stated that they were creating money. Give me a second here. Let me see if I can find it. Long day. And the state actually has stated in its conference to the international organizations, page 105, state publication of the this is the United Nations Conference on International Organization, pages 105 of the state publications, 2490, and conference series. We have subverted our power to foreign entities, and they are committing criminal acts in doing so. Again, the banking industry has stated from the Bankers Manifesto of the Senate document H.R. 192, 73rd Congress, June 5th. The ultimate ownership of property is in the state, and individual so-called ownership is virtue by government, i.e. law, only amounting to a user. And finally, in the First National Bank of Montgomery versus Jerome Daly, and then the appeal, which was Martin versus Mahoney, Justice of Peace, Credit and Township. But the original was the First National Bank of Montgomery versus Jerome Daly, in which he actually had gotten them to commit fraud, to admit they're committing fraud and that they're creating fictitious money. So this is a concern that we can't pay anything back, and that the money that is actually owed is owed to the people, the real people, not the U.S. Constitution people. But thank you for watching. Share, comment, like, tell me what you think. This has been World United Press, and I hope that people will continue to watch this video. Thank you, and have a nice day.